Ah, merci.
On va faire partie de notre agenda normal. So you're part of the agenda as a presentation. There are two actual presentations first. You're very lucky to be here for the presentation before yours is about our train station. We have an amazing group of volunteers that's presenting as well. So they're going to present and then we'll have the presentation for the rec complex, for the petition as well. And then for the petition piece, we'll also probably, I'm going to ask for a question period right after. Normally, we wouldn't have that question period. Fait qu'on va avoir une période de questions, fait qu'on va pouvoir répondre à des questions aussi. L'idée ici, vraiment, c'est d'écouter. Pour nous autres, ça va être d'écouter, d'apprendre. On va aussi passer de l'information aussi que nous, on a des architectes. And the idea is really just to make sure that we're all on the same page at the end of the day. OK? Je ne peux pas vous promettre qu'on va nécessairement avoir toutes les réponses à vous donner ce soir, mais on va faire ce qu'on peut à écouter notre communauté. So on that note, we'll start officially on the meeting. On est-tu prêt à commencer? Oui? Oui? And we're live? OK, formidable. OK. Just get my stuff, my bearings. Thank you. OK. All right. So, alors, bonsoir. Good evening, everyone. So, roll call. All members of council are present. We'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. If I can get everyone to stand.
Alors, nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur le territoire non cédé des Anishinaabe et les terres traditionnelles des peuples Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat, Kanyen-Kahaka. Nous reconnaissons notre obligation commune de respecter, d'honorer et de préserver ces terres et les ressources naturelles qu'elles contiennent.
Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection.
Kind of feels like at a hockey game, doesn't it? All right. All right, so number 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. Members of council? Seeing none, I would like to add a question period after 9A and a question period after 9B. Any issues, any concerns? Councillor Lauren?
Just procedurally, we have to suspend the rules of procedure to add those.
That's correct. So I will ask to suspend the rules of procedure to add that. So that is motion approved? No.
Moved.
Thank you. Moved by
seconded.
Councillor Deacon and seconded by Councillor Loren. All in favor? Thank you. All right. So we've added a question period after 9A and a question period after 9B. Merci beaucoup. C'est apprécié. Alors, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none. Thank you. Adoption of minutes, special council minutes from May 2027. Motion to approve the following. Oh, merci, c'est beau. Merci. Alors, I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as amended. So moved by Councillor Lone, seconded by Councillor Deacon. All in favor? Thank you. So the agenda is adopted as amended. Thank you. All right. So moving to, so we said disclosure of pecuniary interest, adoption of minutes. So motion to approve the minutes as presented. So that's moved by Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All in favor? Thank you. All right. And that brings us to presentations. There aren't any delegations and petitions. So 9A, delegation presented by Josee Aupry and Helene Grandmaitre on behalf of the Station Embrun Comité, Embrun Station Phase 2 Planification. So the floor is yours. So this is an exciting project, folks, for the community. So, merci.
Est-ce qu'on peut mettre la PowerPoint et pas la présentation financière? Merci. Merci.
Merci.
Ça fait plaisir. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Merci d'être ici pour nous. Oui.
Alors, je me présente, je suis Helene Grandmaitre, puis
Josee Aupry.
qui est in-house for the committee
Ah.
design.
Ok, Hélène, vous nous présentez à nous, par contre.
Ah, excusez. Bonjour. Alors, Helene Grandmaitre. Avec moi, j'ai Josee Aupry.
Merci.
She's our in-house construction and design expert of the committee.
Fantastique.
So I can do this presentation in English, in French,
C'est
or
comme
a
vous
little
voulez.
bit of both, as you wish. Perhaps for the expediency's sake and in order for everyone to understand me, I'll do it in English.
C'est beau.
But if anyone, si vous avez des questions en français, sentez-vous à l'aise de me poser des questions dans la langue de votre choix.
Merci.
Alors, ce soir, on veut vous parler un peu de notre projet pour la gare. Là, je commence en français, c'est typique. First of all, I want to recognize, I know that this big gang here is not here for us. So we appreciate your patience. I will try and be as quick and expeditious as possible. So the train station is a project that has been going on for the past 2 years now. And originally, its purpose was for us to transform the train station into something that was a benefit to the community and something for that the whole community could be proud of. I'm going to go quickly through what we did and where we're at and the changes that have gone on between the phase 1 and what we would like to do in the phase 2. So from there, though, if I look at the third slide, next one, you will see that the phase 1 that we had set for ourselves, which was to keep the station, which was the big first step, to repair and highlight the exterior, we have accomplished everything that was on this list. The only thing that is left is to replace the Embrun sign and install the information sign with the sponsors. All of that was accomplished by our committee. And of course, this was done in cooperation with the municipality. If you go to the next slide, you will have a very good sense of all the work that was done. Your first picture is where we started. And gradually, over time, all the repairs that were done, all of it was done with respect for the historical accuracy of the building. So the colors that are used are the historically accurate colors. The beading that was replaced with the proper beading. Everything was done in with that view, because it was the original intent, of course, is to respect the historical accuracy of the building and highlight that for the community. So, next slide, please. So we went from a small committee of committed citizens to actually being a nonprofit organization in 2 short years, which is actually quite unusual. We've been told that by quite a few people, because it takes a lot of time to organize that process. The reason we went for that is because this enables us to apply for subsidies and grants. Without being, if we're not a nonprofit, we can't apply for those. And of course, we have been working very hard to get funds to contribute to this project. We are currently working with the municipality on their grant proposal to Heritage Canada. The intent of the original now is to create a museum with the train station. Now that we've repaired it, that's the focus. The intent of the museum is to promote the history of Embrun and its region, and the focus will be on the Francophone history. As we all know, there is a museum in Russell, the Cave Boyd Museum, and they are in full support of us, and we work in partnership with them. What we want to do is manage, in collaboration with the municipality, the train station as a board, and then we would want to set up activities and events related to the history. We're looking forward to moving on to having possibly tourism attractions and things like that. As part of our planning and research, we became aware of the municipality's hopes and plans for the Notre-Dame and Blais intersection, and our wish to create a magnificent and functional assembly place fits in well with what the Russell has as its vision for that area. Next slide, please. Now you get to see a little bit about the beauty of the inside, which is why we want to open it up to the public, so that all of you can have an opportunity to see and visit once it's all fixed, how beautiful the woodwork is in that little, it looks little from the outside, but it's actually pretty big on the outside. So the phase 2 goals are to open up the train station to members of the community and transform it from the original landing dock place would be a 3-season museum. We're not looking to be opened in the winter. And we would host the memorabilia that we collect from the community. And we've already had a lot of offers from people that they're holding on to stuff for us, and we've had opportunity to see that, some of those things. The original waiting room with its wooden bench could be used for small community assemblies like children's book readings, history tours, craft sessions. The bay window ticket booth area would be used to run a television slideshow of pictures and videos with testimonials from people who are still alive today, who remember well at the outset the role that it played in the community. And our goal, our dream, is to create an outdoor landing space in our growing village, so there would be a terrace to host outside events and foster a gathering space and have a tourist information center around the historical building. We are already working on these because we're a really hard-working little group. So I'll pass it over to Josee as we go into the construction details.
Merci.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. So I'm going to continue with what the building needs for this to happen. As it had mentioned, well, in June 2020, the municipality hired Blanchard Letendre Engineering to conduct a structural condition assessment, and I think that's what probably started the process of possibly selling the station in 2021, and we were able to get it back and proceed and keep it at the end of the bike trail. So The next step, after consulting with the Russell Municipality Chief Building Official, was we all both agreed that it would be better to start as a 3-season station as the phase 2, so we wouldn't need to have services inside, so washrooms or plumbing. And we would keep using the exterior washrooms that are stationed there for the bike trail continuously going forward. Of course, this is a phase 3 and a phase 4 and a phase 5 in our dreams, but starting with this one right now, the goal is to really create, we'll open up to the inside, but create an exterior hub and exterior assembly. So we're going to use a proper egress for barrier-free, and we're going to use the side door, install a commercial door in front of it so we can have wheelchairs or marchettes coming in and out. So,
Tu peux continuer en français, gêne-toi pas.
oh, c'est correct. I think I'm going to be nervous in either language. And also for phase 2, we suggest relocating the train station. It needs a new foundation. We suggest that we move it just slightly further back. We're thinking 100 feet to create more green space in front of it, because right now it's where there's a parking, cars coming in and out. So those are what's needed. Blanchard-le-Town, when they did their assessment, the floor joist, it really is, that's the biggest problem. The slab right now is cracked, and it doesn't have a proper slope, so humidity is always on these bottom beams, and that's why we're feeling a bit of the urgency to get it fixed sooner than later before it really, it won't collapse. It's structurally sound, but before it creates a damage that we can't come back from. So right now, in 2020, it had about 5 years left. So in 2024, I'm thinking we have a year left, and this is why we're here today, to kind of keep pushing this along. Our action plan, so when we get your go-ahead later today, is first we presented to the PRAC meeting. We got great support. Right now, we're presenting to you, and to request, of course, support for phase 2, meaning that the station is going to stay where it is now at the end of the bike trail, but also that we share the engineering study fees and that we can start the planning. So maybe a connection within the municipality to get the communication going as to where and when. This summer, we want to hire the engineer. We want to produce the drafting plan, the architecture plan as to code, and again, get the municipal input, decision, and future building location. So by the end of 2024, I don't need it actually. So by the end of 2024, we're ready to go for a construction phase of 2025, summer, spring and summer. We'd like, well, in spring, structural repair needs to be done before we move it. It won't hold up the lift if not. Then spring, summer, excavation, move of services, exterior water access data, and then summer, fall, hopefully the landing of the station in its new spot and possibly the opening. If we can't manage to open by fall 2025, then we'd use the winter 25 to open in 2026 to the public. But our dream really is to open up, soon. And in the past, when we tried to move forward with the municipality, the financial study was often an issue, because how can you commit to something if you're not sure how much it's going to cost long-term, how much a project is going to cost. So we did start with, it's the next 2 slides over. That's it, that's the one, merci. So we did start with the study of today's costs with contractors and contacts within the industry. But of course, if the municipality wanted to have us invest in the engineers, the study, financial study, a more official one, that's part of the first cost. So the first slide would be engineering scope of work, financial study, architecture, and foundation plan. So we're hoping we're going to cover our share of that study, and we're hoping that the municipality can pitch in at 50-50. We know there's funds left, I think, in the train station account. So that would help us moving forward, so we can hire a trades and get our proper quotes, but it would help you to know what you're committing to long term. Now, the financial study, we don't need. We're ready. And we know that the study that we did is accurate, but, that's basically would be $4,850 each to get this first process going. Then, of course, construction permit application, location of services and studies, building moved to a new location, excavation, concrete foundation, sump pump and exterior membrane. We would like to have a basement for future services if ever we do insulate one day and we need an HVAC system or plumbing. We're just kind of thinking ahead, and being a museum, like when we think of La Maison des Arts across the street, one of their biggest issues is storage of artifacts and papers, so having that basement is going to help because we understand that the square footage of that space is tiny if we're going to open to the public. And the cost is not, like to lift and repair underneath the building is almost as much as lifting, moving it, and having a basement elsewhere. So it cancels itself if we're going to move it. The ramp and railing, of course, for the entrance, structural repairs of timber work, as foreseen now. We might have additional to the floor system. We're not sure how much it shifted since 2020. Non-structural repairs, of course, we're thinking windows and beading boards won't make it through the move. Electrical panel, update electrical wiring and lighting, and having data in there to have ongoing and internet. And supply and install of commercial door at large opening. So when you look at the final cost, and I can't even see it from here, and it's not on my paper, of
127.
close up. 127 and 35. This is the cost that we foresee for phase 2 to be able to open up maybe fall of 2025, if not spring of 2026. So we're working really hard to raise funds. Helene's going to speak to that right now. And as she mentioned, we are in the works with several grants that are really on board with this project. But today we're here to see if you're with us as well. So
A couple more minutes.
Yes. In the last year and a half, we've done 3 major fundraisers. We've raised over $15,000, and we have currently $13,000 in the bank. Of course, we had to spend money on lawyers and stuff like that to become a nonprofit organization. I also want to say that we have a promise from Desjardins of additional funding depending on whether we get the go-ahead for phase 2. So they're really, and we're talking about the big institution, not just a local institution. So this is all to say that when we went to PRAC last time, what we were looking for, if you look at the last slide, was that you support the concept, which PRAC did with enthusiasm, that we get your support to split the costs of the engineering package and breakdown, and that you also support us for up to $20K a year in the budget starting in 2025. And those are all things that the PRAC committee adopted. We're looking to get your support to have those move forward so that we can also now move forward with the rest of our activities and initiatives in securing funding and contractors.
Voilà. OK, merci. Alors, un gros merci à vous pour votre présentation. I've got a couple of points, and then I'll hand it over to council. So first of all, I want to congratulate your entire team and all the residents that have gotten involved in this process. You did come to the PRAC on April 18th, and we as a council here adopted the minutes from the including the resolutions on our May 13th meeting. So that was already supported in terms of adopting those. Now, I want to applaud one of the parts that I find very inspiring here. C'est que vous venez pas juste avec vos mains pour demander du conseil ou de la communauté. Vous allez travailler vous-même pour aller chercher des fonds. Puis je trouve ça vraiment formidable. Puis je suis très, très, très fier de your commitment in doing that. So congratulations on that. So on that note, I just want to pass it to council members. Any questions, comments? Councillor Deakin?
I'd like to echo the mayor's comments, of course. I can't wait to see more history being told in Embrun. I have a couple of questions related to the financial request, in particular the third point there where you're requesting an allocation of $20,000 in the yearly budget. And I'd like clarification on whether we received and asked for a report or whether we did in fact approve. I thought we were looking at the 2025 budget, but if I could be mistaken here.
Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Bonsoir, chers membres du Conseil. So the resolutions were received at last meeting. Council gave direction to the administration to prepare a report to Council. Given that this presentation was on the agenda, so we didn't bring forward the report now, just to hear this out and to have the opportunity to have that dialogue with the group.
Okay, so we would be looking at the 2025 budget with that report then that will come back?
So it's my understanding, and correct me, Monsieur Godin, if I'm wrong, but I believe that would come as one of the requests that we get annually for all the budgets, and that would come for council consideration for that budget. Monsieur Godin, is that accurate?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. So I would recommend for these three recommendations, if council wants to accept the first and second one, that would be fine. We do have we do have funds in the 2024 budget that we could help to cover those engineering costs. For the 25 and later, I would recommend that those be included in the 2025 budget discussions, and we have already added this to the list of discussion points.
Merci, Monsieur Godin.
Et je veux juste m'assurer que ça réponde aux besoins du comité pour le matching avec les subventions que vous avez présentées. So if we did the second point, approve that second point, that wouldn't delay your ability to secure funds from other funders?
No, we have that money in the bank to cover the...
Fantastic.
So we're already ready, we're ready to roll.
Yep.
And I believe we have that money set aside already, right? Like that, Monsieur Godin?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilor Lauren?
So, that being said, then are we approving something tonight? Because there's nothing on the agenda for approving. So I just want to make sure that, because I understood that they're looking for an answer and we don't have the question.
Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Mr. Massa, and thank you for the question, Councilor Lauren. So right now, it's a delegation. Council could give direction to the administration to bring back that report that we've already did the groundwork on. If council already has a direction as far as where they want to go with this, we can definitely include that official resolution to pass at the next meeting.
I'm good either way, councilors?
Yeah, I guess I would just ask, how urgent is the request? Is it okay for June 24th? Or do you need a resolution this evening?
I think the resolution around the engineering is critical, and June 24th is really moving it along much further in the summer, so the earlier we can get that, since the funds, you have the funds, we have the funds, if we can get that approval, it really would be important to do so today.
Members of council, how do you feel? Do I have someone proposing a resolution? Councilor Lauren?
Yeah, so I guess we have to add on a resolution to the agenda, so I mean, if we want to do it now, then that's great. My motion would be to approve item 1 and 2 from the presentation and defer number 3 to the 2025 budget discussion. And I'll move it.
Thank you. I need a seconder. Seconded by Councilor Deakin. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All right, that's passed. Thank you very much.
Merci
Congratulations.
beaucoup. Thank you very much.
What a crowd.
No questions for that one?
So is it fair to assume that we have no questions for this item? Non, c'est beau. OK, alors merci beaucoup. Félicitations à votre groupe. Encore une fois, ça fait chaud au cœur de voir les résidents venir ensemble pour faire un beau travail comme ça. Alors merci beaucoup, félicitations. All right, so we're moving ahead to, actually, let's keep 9B till the end of the meeting. I'm just kidding, that was true. All right, let's bring 9B up. Alors, on a une pétition, alors je vais la lire en français. I have too much paperwork here. I'll read it in English. Petition. So we are at 9B, petition, conception des vestiaires des joueurs et de la capacité des sièges autour des patinoires du futur complexe récréatif. Alors, on a une présentation, une délégation qui va parler pour la délégation. OK. Oui. Si vous voulez juste monter, vous présenter. Et puis encore une fois, à tout le monde, juste pour dire qu'on va avoir une période de questions après, so we will answer some questions. I avant que vous commenciez, I just wanted to say we did endeavor to have our architect here tonight. Unfortunately, they were not able to make it. Having said that, I can assure you that any questions that we can answer or that we don't have answers for, we'll be more than happy to officially get you the answers from the architects. So just to provide a little context before we start, if that's okay, the design of the rec complex has been done by our firm who has developed over 50 arenas. 55, I believe, is the accurate number, Madame Guittard, but somewhere in that area. So they are experts in that field. And in November, so we already had a plan. Le plan qu'on avait déjà, c'était un plan public qui a été montré à tout le monde depuis assez longtemps. Au mois de novembre, on a reçu pour le complexe un genre d'estimé combien que le complexe va nous coûter. Et de ça, on a pris une décision à faire quelques coupures alentour du complexe comme tel. Une des grosses décisions a été de couper un deuxième étage qu'on avait et l'autre grosse décision était de couper sur la capacité de la grosse surface de glace qu'on a pour les visiteurs pour venir pour s'asseoir. Le conseil a pris ces décisions-là basées sur les faits qu'on avait à ce moment-là, c'est-à-dire on a regardé la capacité pour les joutes qu'on avait surtout ici au Junior B. On est allé regarder les statistiques des 3-4 dernières saisons pour voir le nombre de personnes qui viennent au parti. Puis c'était pas une décision facile. Il fallait faire une décision. Puis c'était pas vraiment... On a eu comme des options à regarder qu'est-ce qu'on pouvait couper pour essayer de rentrer dans le prix. Et alors c'est ça, au mois de novembre, c'est là que cette décision est arrivée. À aucun point, depuis le début de ce projet, qu'on a touché à la grosseur des change rooms. Ça n'a pas changé depuis novembre. Ça a été présenté comme ça a été présenté du début. L'autre chose que je voulais vous dire à tout le monde, juste pour que tout le monde soit sur la même page, c'est que demain, on reçoit les tenders. Ça va être officiel demain. On va avoir accès aux tenders. And so when we receive the tenders tomorrow, we'll actually have a better idea where we stand with what we have right now. Not to say that we can't make changes as a result of community engagement, but we are in the process. We're moving forward with this rec complex, and maybe there will be some difficult decisions to make after we go through all this. Maybe tomorrow we'll receive the bids that we receive tomorrow are way out of our range, and maybe we have to put the whole thing on hold. So we don't really know where we're going with that. We did get a general good idea from our architects at the time. So we feel that we should be in the ballpark, but we won't find that out until tomorrow. And we are going to have a special meeting next week. Monsieur Godin, c'est quel jour, si vous pouvez me rappeler?
Oui, merci, M. le maire, c'est lundi le 17.
Le 17. Puis, M. Godin, si j'ai oublié dans le contexte de mettre tout en contexte avant de commencer la présentation, est-ce qu'il y a d'autres informations que vous pensez que je devrais partager?
Oui, peut-être juste que donc le 17, c'est la rencontre spéciale où on va présenter les soumissions. So we'll be presenting the bid results on the 17th as well as an updated financial plan and our recommendation as far as to proceed or not. That decision will be made on our next regular council meeting, which is on the 24th. So there maybe just that point that there's another council meeting on the 24th that's going to touch on that topic. So next week we'll be looking at the tender results and making a recommendation. But we'll give the week for council to digest all that information and also for the public to reach out and make any commentary, if any.
OK. Clarification question, puis je vous laisse partir dans 2 secondes. Là. Clarification question. Pour la réunion spéciale de la semaine prochaine, alors on va recevoir l'information. Est-ce que les architectes vont être présents pour cette présentation?
Donc, je n'ai pas une confirmation pour vous maintenant. Comme vous avez dit, malheureusement, ils ne sont pas ici ce soir. Just due to the short timeline, they couldn't make it tonight. If there are any questions that we weren't able to answer on their behalf, we can send it to them. If we see that there is a benefit for them to be there at the meeting, we can invite them. I don't have a confirmation now if they're available or not for that meeting.
OK, merci. Puis finalement, je confirme, my understanding here is that on the 17th, when we get the presentation, we'll be able to ask some questions. There will be a question period. But we will not make a decision on the 17th. That decision on the go-ahead, it will be done on the 24th, correct?
That's correct.
Merci beaucoup. Councillor Lauren?
The one thing we didn't mention was the time on Monday, Can you just remind us of the time?
It's going to be at 5 p.m. on Monday.
OK,
Thank you.
merci. Puis ça, OK. C'est beau. C'est beau? C'est beau? Ready to go? La parole est à vous.
Bonsoir, mon nom est Jean-François Boulanger.
Bonsoir, Monsieur le maire, Madame la conseillère, Counselor. My name is Christian Gauthier.
Good evening, everyone. Darrell Campbell.
And just to clarify on the petition itself, it continued as an online petition. We have over 332 people that have signed it as of 5 o'clock today. So, Mr. Mayor, Township of Russell Councillors, good evening. Today I stand before you on behalf of all constituents of Embrun Russell to address, to address an issue of great importance to our community in regards to the proposed plans for the sports complex in the Township of Russell. The project is more than just a construction plan. It represents a vision for the future of our township. We all know that this complex is something citizens want and need. We're also grateful to the mayor, to the councillors, and township staff for all the work that has been done. The proposed sports complex has been hailed as a generational project, one that has the potential to shape the lives of residents for years to come. However, users of current township facilities and future users of the new sports complex have identified concerns regarding the current plans. Citizens of the township have been meeting and collaborating to ensure these concerns are heard and that alternative solutions are considered before significant resources are invested. We appreciate the time you are giving us tonight to be heard on this matter. You have in documentation a petition, the one that you have there, but we have one with 332 names on it, of the township asking to put on hold this project so that amendments can be made and constituents can be heard around seating in arenas, room sizes to accommodate sports teams and other users. We believe it is imperative that we take a step back and reevaluate these plans to ensure they align with the needs and aspirations of our community. While we understand the importance of moving ahead, we must also ensure sustainability and inclusivity in our development initiatives. This is not just about building a sports complex, it's about building a better future for all residents of the Township of Russell. Let us work together to ensure that this project reflects the values and aspirations of our community, both now and for generations to come. I am sure that you have not read the comments, but on our online petition, there are really over 300 comments. There are two major concerns that we want to point out tonight. We know that the tender process, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, ends tomorrow. We have one chance to do this project right, and we are hoping you are willing to work with citizens of the township to create a sports complex that will reflect the needs and desires of the community. The first concern raised by citizens, especially those who are highly involved in organized hockey leagues, is the change rooms currently proposed. Monsieur Gauthier, standing beside me, will come and share concerns raised and possible solutions to consider.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Councillor, Madame. As the sport complex will operate by the township for our community, we believe there is a potential for the township to be at the forefront of inclusive design in creating a model for other townships to follow. The design of the change rooms must reflect the diversity and the values of inclusivity of this township. These are exciting challenges for our new complex. While signing the petition, citizens have commented that U9 to U21 will not have enough room for their teams to change according to the plans that have been shared with the public. As such, we're asking that the township increase the dressing room space to host 20 hockey players of all ages for each of the rooms already in the plan, although there should be at least 18 rooms. We have shared the current design plan and conducted inquiries with individuals, hockey players, hockey organization outside our community in our province, in the province of Quebec. The people we have consulted were all in the opinion that change rooms must accommodate 20 players and have 2 single occupancy in proximity of the dressing room, but not inside. We also have reviewed Hockey Canada policy, and it is stipulate that single occupancy rooms must be in proximity to the dressing rooms, not a room inside the dressing room. Further, citizens have also proposed A, single occupancy room for female referees. We have female referees that do the games at all levels. A coach's room to prepare the roster, release the players during tryout, meeting privately with players and parents in case of all kinds of issues. And I would like, the committee would like to create a small committee with you, Mr. Mayor, to evaluate on concern proposal and to communicate decision with the petitioners with the set date. We want our players to stay in the community and play recreative and competitive hockey, whether it is for girls, women, men, boys, and all genders. We need players to come to our rinks, to our complex, to be able to grow through their playing career. It's important. We'd like to have a young guy, a young female that can go up and they have goals and objectives to play junior, even professional women hockey league throughout this complex. We want people to consider moving to the township of Russell, knowing that their children and their family will have access to an inclusive and well-designed space. I'll pass the floor to Mr. Campbell. Thank you, Mr.
Merci.
Mayor. Madame, Councillor.
Good evening again. Thank you for listening to our group. Seating is an important element. As noticed in the room tonight, I think we need more seats, Mr. Mayor.
I wish we were full like that every week.
Well, the combination of atmosphere, which is good, viewing and good seating makes attending games and attending council meetings a pleasure.
I appreciate you trying to equate a hockey game to this.
I'm working.
There's no contact here, by the way, folks.
Merging the whole township in a centralized capacity is important. It's a new vision that will energize this community. We need a complex with a seating capacity that will match the vision for your project and the enthusiasm of the community. Adding more seats to the complex would allow us to host events, hockey tournaments, concerts, and other community events. At the very minimum, 750 seats should have been looked at. In your introduction, Mr. Mayor, you said our attendance in the last 4 years, the seating that you're providing is warranted. That's correct. But I'm an old-timer, and I've been in the community for 40-plus years. And I was very fortunate 30-some years ago to be a participant, a volunteer, where I was involved with many, many occasions where our arena in Embrun was packed, and I would say 700-plus fans. Likewise, 15 years ago, I was fortunate enough to coach the junior team with the same type of atmosphere, 700-plus fans in the arena. And if it's Castleman, I dare to say to the council, but we were probably near 1,000 in the arena. I was shocked tonight to learn that we only have 110 possible seats in the Russell Arena. I always thought there was more than that, but again, I'm an old-timer, and when I moved here, we used to have these portable stands that we moved in and out of the arena to use in the bleachers for the ball diamond. So I guess I'm not surprised that it's only 110. But on the other hand, Embrun right now has 350 seats and approximately 75 standing room places, even though I told you we were 700 plus in multiple occasions. For a vibrant and inclusive seating arrangement accommodating more people at the Embrun-Russell complex, we urge you to consider a flexible layout that maximizes space utilization while fostering community engagement. Firstly, opt for tiered seating or bleachers along one side of the ice surface, providing clear views for spectators while optimizing capacity. To encourage social interaction and a sense of unity, incorporate communal seating areas equipped with movable chairs or benches around the perimeter. And these spaces can facilitate casual conversations and enhance the overall experience for attendees. By implementing these suggestions, we think the complex can enhance its appeal as a premier venue for municipal events, council meetings, and fostering community cohesion and enriching the overall experience for residents and visitors alike. I thank you all for your time.
Merci.
In conclusion, councillors and the mayor, it is clear in the petition comments and the engagement of everyone here tonight that we really want this project to happen. We want it so much that people are here tonight to ensure that the township of Russell builds the best complex for our community. It's probably the most important municipality project to happen in our community for the past 40 years. We understand the concerns and possible solutions brought forth tonight have dollar signs attached to them. As a tight-knit community and passionate community, I'm sure that the citizens of this township and our business community would happily contribute financially to ensure our new sports complex meets the needs of our community. And thank you so much for putting us on the agenda tonight and giving us a few minutes to be heard, because this project greatly matters to us in this community, and we want to work with the township to make this project happen. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. C'est apprécié. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to turn it over to members of council. But before we do that, I would like to maybe take a few minutes to discuss the change room piece. I think that to me feels like it's just a misunderstanding, and I may be wrong. Although I did spend a lot of time in rinks with my kids playing hockey. Our architects did send us some drawings, I believe, and we were able to put together a comparison. Monsieur Godin, est-ce qu'on pourrait peut-être présenter ça?
Oui, certainement, M. le maire. Donc, comme tu as dit, les architectes ne pouvaient pas être ici ce soir, mais ils nous ont envoyé de la documentation puis du matériel qu'on pourrait partager. Donc, on peut la mettre sur l'écran, puis je vais laisser la parole à Mme Guittard pour passer à travers les diapos.
Merci, Mme Guittard. Avant de vous la passer, je veux juste confirmer que la présentation qu'on voit ici va être publique. C'est-à-dire que les membres, nos résidents peuvent avoir accès à cette présentation-là, parce qu'on vient juste de la voir. Je sais que...
Oui, c'est ça, M. le maire. On vient de la recevoir aujourd'hui, mais définitivement qu'on peut la rendre publique pour la rencontre.
Formidable. Alors, la parole est à vous, Mme Guittard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is not a very formal presentation because obviously we didn't have too much time to put everything together, but we did our best, and the architects did provide some more maybe clarity for some of the members of the crowd here tonight. So we start by having a picture of what we have right now. This is the change room in Russell. So maybe I'm gonna. Okay. So this is the actual change room with Russell, with the new change room proposed. So you can see that the square is a little bit bigger. I will go briefly on these pages because there's one page that we can very clearly see the difference between the two. So this is what's proposed again. So you can see where the existing room is right now in Russell, plus what we're adding in the recreation complex, which is mostly the bathroom, amenities and shower stations, plus the private entry.
Madame Guittard, est-ce que je peux juste vous demander de clarifier quand vous dites existing Russell change room, ça c'est les tirets rouges, c'est ça?
That's right, that's
Okay,
the red dotted lines.
ce que vous me dites ici, c'est que la chambre paraît plus grande,
C'est ça.
sauf qu'il y a des coupures dans le mur, on peut dire. OK,
Ouais,
c'est beau,
c'est ça.
juste pour m'assurer que je comprends, c'est beau.
So this is the change room between Russell and Embrun, Russell and the complex. So you have 400 square feet in Russell, you have 322 in the coaching area, plus the 71 feet of the no gender room. So which is 393. So here, this is really the difference between the existing room and the new proposed room with the Russell room. So overall size, you've got 732 feet. In Russell, you've got 530. For the change area only, you got 405. You've got 393 in the complex. The amount of bench space, you've got 54 linear feet in Russell. You will have 54 also in the complex, which is basically pretty much, it's the same that you're going to be having. For the showers, you'll have more showers, of course. You'll have 3 showers, 2 shower heads plus an accessible, plus also 1 in the inclusive room. And then you have your privacy entry. So when you open the door, you cannot see the players inside, plus a stick corral when you come in. So that's for the Russell change.
Madame Guitard, juste, excusez de vous déranger comme ça, mais vous m'avez dit un stick corral, c'est pour expliquer c'est quoi ça?
Sorry. It's where the players can put their stick.
En rentrant,
when-
tout le monde
when
lâche
they
les
come in.
bâtons. Ouais, OK,
So
je le
it's
savais,
not-
c'était juste pour clarifier pour tout le monde. Je voulais juste...
Okay.
Madame Guitard, juste une seconde. Councillor
Sorry.
Lauren?
Yeah, I just wanted to add where you stated the 54 linear feet in both, but there is also the additional 5 feet in the inclusive room on top of the 54 linear feet.
And so
That's
just,
correct.
And just to clarify, excusez de vous déranger encore, but the linear feet of bench space is what we're referring to, so c'est sitting down space,
Sitting
right?
down space, so this means you have space for 20 adult players, which means 2.5 feet for each player. So it's typical for a junior A, B team. For the smaller players, it's 23 to 24 players that can change with 2 feet of bench each.
Ça, c'est un standard.
That's the standard that the architects gave us.
OK, alors on continue.
So now we go to Embrun. This is basically the typical largest room that we have in Embrun. We got the garbage in the middle.
La poubelle est importante.
It's clean.
That's
We
for the
wanted to
take.
show you that, it's clean. So again, we're going to be showing you what we've done, basically the same thing with Russell. So this is a more square room than what we have in Embrun. So the new change room is more square. You have 405 feet of square meter of area. So here again, with the red dotted lines, that's the existing room compared to what we will be having in the recreation complex. So of course, the big difference with Embrun is that we will have showers and bathroom within the same room, which we don't have in Embrun, and also the private entrance. So to compare, we have 308 square feet of change area in Embrun. In the new, you will have the 322, plus of course the inclusive room on top of that. So for the pros and cons, for Embrun Arena change room, compared to the Russell complex, you will have 405 feet of square feet. In the complex, you'll have 732 square feet
Per room.
per room. The change area only is 308 in Embrun. In the complex is 322, plus the individual room. The amount of bench space is 47 in Embrun. In the complex, it will be 54. The showers, toilet, the sink, in Embrun, it's almost not comparable because it's not part of the room. So basically, what you have in the complex is all an added component to the room. You have your private change room with your private shower, and you have your privacy entrance with your stick corral, the same thing as we've mentioned before.
Question? Si je peux juste te demander d'aller au micro, s'il vous plaît.
Je vais poser ma question en français.
Ouais,
Donc, juste pour clarifier ce que vous venez de dire, Mme Guittard, par rapport à les salles de toilettes puis les douches qui ne sont pas dans les salles d'échange comme c'est là en brun. Juste peut-être clarifier ça, parce que comme c'est là, je pense qu'ils sont là. Il y a une salle de bain puis il y a des douches dans...
Oui, mais il faut que tu sortes de ta chambre vraiment comme tu as une porte qui joint les deux.
OK,
ça veut
OK,
dire que
c'est ça qu'on veut dire.
c'est pas privé.
OK, parfait.
C'est ça que je veux dire.
ouais, c'est connecté, mais pas privé.
C'est ça.
Yeah, shared. Ouais.
It's shared.
OK. Allez, continue, Madame Guittard.
C'est tout?
C'est tout? OK, si vous pourriez revenir à la dernière slide. OK, est-ce qu'on pourrait juste peut-être regarder pour des questions spécifiquement au change room? If I look at this, to me, the change room issue, and I understand that it is a different type of change room because we have that add-on room that's there that could be used for goalies. It could be used for a private area. It could actually be used for coaching if you have male coaches and a female hockey team. So I think there's a lot of value in having that. It's something that in the design is a novel idea to have one for each of the change rooms. But if you look at the size per se, those rooms are going to be bigger than anything that we have right now or the same in terms of linear bench space. So going back to the standard that the architect told us was 2 feet per junior level.
2.5.
No, for junior, 2.5, yes. Yeah, 2.5 linear feet of bench space for junior level player and 2 feet for the younger kids. So based on that size, and that's a standard that they use across. And so that's kind of where we are with the change room. So maybe if I could just ask if there are any specific questions to that for the change rooms. Because that was a big part of this petition was the size of the rooms. Does that satisfy? Because I know that these were not available, and so c'est sûr et certain que peut-être il y avait de la miscommunication. Est-ce que je peux juste vérifier avec vous si ça fait l'affaire? Oui, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur le Maire, sir, Mr. Mayor, we have 12 including room. All we need is 2.
OK, moi, je vais juste répondre à la
Based
question.
on my findings. So,
OK, mais c'est parce que la pétition comme telle, just one second, Councillor Laura. The petition as per se was the size of the change room. So I'm just addressing that, and I'm not discounting what you're saying here, but for the size, the linear space to park our kids and junior players in the change room, we are doing better than we did. Yeah, if you just come up to the land and just, if you don't mind giving us your address and name for the record, because this is a public meeting.
Brian Young, Colmar Street in Embrun, president of Embrun Minor Hockey. Just going by the linear footage on the bench, I welcome anybody in first week of September to come to Embrun Arena at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning when we have to have half-ice hockey. And we put 2 groups of U9 or U7 players into those dressing rooms in Embrun, and it doesn't fit. We're gaining 8 linear feet, but by the time you get parents into these dressing rooms tying skates and getting these young players dressed, you end up with half the kids in the lobby waiting for the other half to finish getting dressed before they can go out on the ice.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Lauren?
Yes, I think I've had, Mr. Cassan, we've had the discussion as well previously. When it comes to the inclusive room that we're talking about and why it's in each dressing room and not just a couple of rooms here and there, is when you look at the utilization of the facility, which will primarily be minor sports. And when I say minor sports, you're U7 through U21. Yes, there's junior sports, there's ringette, there's figure skating, there's other sports. But those minor sports have girls on their teams in the Embrun Association, the Russell Association. And I see that there are multiple girls or people who want to maybe not change with everybody else and go into a private space to do so. These rooms will allow for that. And there are is it at U13, I think it is, that was Pee Wee, U13, and above, girls are not allowed to change in a boys' changing room. So to allow them to still be part of their team and be in the room area with their team and not have to go into a dressing room with another team player or other players in that room and not be part of their own team, we have the opportunity here to make them included in their team sport. And this, to me, is the primary reason why I'm of support of this type of a plan, to ensure that we don't have people that cannot play a sport. And this may be the reason somebody says, you know what, I was concerned about changing in with everybody else, and I want to do just like everyone else. I want to walk in with my hockey bag and change at the arena. This will allow them to do that. This also allows us to allow for coaches, female, male coaches, getting ready for the games in that room. So to me, this additional space needs to be in every room, because there are kids, and I'm on the ice over 200 times a year over the last couple of years, and I see girls playing on boys' teams from U9 right through U21. And yes, U21, there are still girls that play. And they need a place, they need a safe place to change, but still be part of a team. So, sorry, I just wanted to make a statement on terms of those rooms, because I heard there's a lot of questions about it.
Okay, so if we can just stick with the size of rooms, is there anyone else that has questions specific to the size of rooms that we haven't addressed? Oui, s'il vous plaît. Si vous pouvez monter, if you can just come up and just state your name and address for the record, please.
Sean Barker, Dingyard Street in Embrun. I'm a hockey coach. The dressing room, or the extra room, how many people can change in there? Because there's 2 doors, I
Yeah,
believe,
Madame
that
Guittard.
restricts how many people can use the room.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Madame Guittard?
They said comfortably 2 to 3 people.
Okay, so 2 to
Could
3
change,
people is
yeah.
designed for.
Yeah.
The assumption is the door is not opening and closing as people are
That's
changing.
right. It can
but
walk
it's- yeah.
inside, and you can walk out in the hallway.
And so they have their access from the hallway into.
They have their own
yeah,
access, that's
yeah.
right, and they have their own shower,
Okay.
private shower.
Okay. Any other questions specific to the size of the change rooms? Okay. Moving along, in terms of the actual capacity for the main rink. So first of all, the main rink, just to be clear for everyone so that everyone's aware, this is going to be a much bigger rink than what we have. It's going to be, correct me if the terminology is wrong, but it's the Olympic size? No, NHL size.
All three are NHL size.
I thought, so they are all 3 NHL size. Okay. And those are, okay, so NHL size, and our current capacity that we're designing for right now, after we had to look at financials, is down to, Madame Guittard, correct me, but a total of 400, where we had seating for 250?
Formally is 250 seating,
Yeah.
plus approximately 150. Like if I can take what Mr. Campbell mentioned before, yeah, we've had a lot of people in the Embrun Arena. Was it all legal? Not too sure, but definitely, probably you'll be able to seat more, not seat maybe, but at the capacity of more than 400, but legally, we have to say it's 400.
Okay, so that's when Monsieur Guy Lafleur would be around, or?
That's right.
Yeah. And, okay. Okay, so in terms of capacity, we understand, we're getting the message. We looked at usage for the last 3 years, and I know we kind of went back and forth on that a little bit. Is there anything else we need to know in terms of that? So when we're looking at residents, because this is being funded by our community, we are making decisions responsible for the finances of our community. So for each and every one of you that pay taxes here in this community, we're responsible for that. And so we have to kind of look at, if that capacity goes over 400, because we're going to grow and it's going to get more popular, how many times is it going to reach over 400? And at what you know, at what cost is that 3 or 4 times a year or 2 times a year? And are there alternative options for us to consider? One of the things that that you have to understand as well is this particular rec complex will have a community center, so une salle communautaire, where we could put closed circuit TVs, where I know it's not the same as sitting in front of the playoffs, but you're part of it as well, and so on. So there is that option as well. I'm not sure what we can do in terms of increasing capacity. It's certainly something we can look at, but that's going to be after we look and get our tender. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, I'm sure. Any questions on capacity itself? So again, if you're paying out of pocket for this, and most residents will be paying something out of this, are you willing to spend the money on something that's going to be used a couple of times a year to that capacity where you need those extra 50 seats? And I say this with all due respect to any of the owners on the junior side and stuff like that. I understand that this is a business and it's important to optimize, you know, the demand when it's there. So I totally understand that. But so any questions pertaining to that? Mr. Campbell.
Just a question on high school hockey, Embrun and Russell. Are they going to be all one high school team now?
I'm not sure how that relates to the capacity piece.
Because if you have this rivalry that goes on in the city with these high school teams, there's 700-800 kids that come to these games. And I would hope this complex does the same for us.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you. We'll take that away.
Just to maybe a comment, the fact that we were having 3 rinks, don't we think that there's going to be more tournaments, more people wanting to come here to Embrun Russell than in the past? And you're going to have big games. You're talking about high school games, but we're talking just regular games where you're having more people. Who knows, maybe in 10 years there's going to be 2 hotels in Embrun because there's a lot of people coming to this complex. I think we have to have a vision for the future.
Thank you. Councillor Lauren.
Yeah, I hear a lot about tournaments, and we're not going to be able to host any tournaments because these facilities aren't going to be able to meet the needs. I'm in a tournament every weekend, and I can tell you that the amount of people that fit in the tournament space, like I'll use Richcraft as an example, Richcraft Sensplex. Those rinks hold about 120 people. And the Canadian Tire rink there holds about 500, 450, 500 is the maximum. And they are never jammed full in any of these tournaments that I've done, whether it be through the winter or the summer. It holds enough people. The facility that we're building will hold enough people for tournaments. Like I'm really I have a hard time, I struggle with that because trust me, the arenas are something I am very passionate about. Hockey is something I'm very passionate about. But we also have to understand the realistic wants versus the needs. And the realistic wants is, yes, we want a facility that can host tournaments. We're going to have a facility that can host tournaments with 3 rinks. 3 rinks that are going to be able to support all of our minor sports in one facility for the municipality. Hopefully the associations will not have to buy ice in other municipalities, Finch, Chesterville, Winchester. They're going to be able to play here in our community and not in another community. Well, is that going to be able to happen when there's 3 rinks? That's 1 more rink that's going to be available to us. We're going to be able to be available during the summer. 1, 2, who knows? Maybe even all 3 rinks. We don't know yet because we don't know what the demand will be. But we have to get there. And to me, this is a very nice facility that's going to be built in our community. Thank you. Sorry.
Merci. Thank you. Okay, so in the looking at the time here, I just want to kind of maybe try to curtail this. There's a couple of other items here that I wanted to make sure that we kind of go on record as kind of having acknowledged. So there was a quick mention about number of rooms, and so we have 12 rooms. And there was discussion on the half-ice practices and how that impacts having 12 rooms. So any comments pertaining to that from staff? In terms of the design of having 12 rooms and not having, say, 16 rooms, any questions, comments around that? Madame Guittard?
Well, one thing that comes to my mind is probably we'd have to do a lot of programming, good programming. So when you have those split ice programming, you need to make sure that you have enough rooms. So this is something that definitely the programming staff could work on if we stick to the 12 rooms.
So I wouldn't mind having an answer from the architect in terms of standards. I'm comfortable with 12 rooms, and I did a little bit of research on some studies there, but that is a fact that there are a lot more half-ice practices for the young kids, and just to look at what the standard is there. And does that mean that, is there a way to kind of somehow have space for one additional room or something? I'm just spitballing here, but I wouldn't mind having the architect's point of view on that. We have a few more questions here. Oui.
Mr. Mayor, after
Puis en français, s'il vous plaît, gênez-vous pas.
Mr. Mayor, after they talk, I'd like just to have one question, Madame Guitard.
OK, oui, c'est beau. Please.
Mathieu Sauvé, 1091 Saint-Pierre, Embrun. So, just to bring it up on the half ice and the size, the capacity of the rooms. So, I've been in the arena for the last 5 years at 7 and 8 a.m. So, I'm with the U7 and U9. And I'm now the VP of U7 and U9. And the capacity, like we've been talking about, additional room. Well, we need the additional rooms because we're 12, an average of 12 players per team. When we play half ice games, that means 24 kids in that same room, plus 24 parents, because at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, they're not able to drive themselves. So that's 48 people in one room. So having the additional room, like I've been in arenas for the last couple of years with the Ritz-Craft and all the Cornwall, they all have 5 rooms per rink. So having that additional room helps a lot.
OK, merci pour vos commentaires. On va prendre ça. Puis merci. Thank you for volunteering. Councilor Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, in our design, we do also have a room off the side that is a warm-up room. I see Madame Guital shaking her head. Yes, that is also a room that for the IP level and the U9, U7, U9, if we need additional space from a programming perspective, we have options, right? We have 2 rooms per ice time that is usually allocated, 2 for the current going on, 2 for the coming on, 2 for the next group coming on, but you have that additional room there as well that can be utilized. If there's an additional room that's not being utilized on one of the other rinks at that hour, like we can program around that. So hopefully that will alleviate a lot of these concerns from that perspective. So I just
Okay,
wanted to.
so it is on record, though. Thank you very much. Another question?
Stuart Patrick, Notre Dame on Embrun. So in respect to the frequency of the capacity of the large arena, in our league, in the CCHL, there are 6 teams who would meet that capacity weekly. And those are the 6 teams that are outside of Ottawa. So if this is the municipality that wants to, be Township of Russell team for junior, I think that capacity could be met weekly.
That's junior A, just for everyone? Yeah, okay. Okay, so is this something that, we don't have that contract right now for junior A. It would be a nice to have for sure, obviously, for the community. But at this stage, we don't have that. There's nothing associated to that we are in a position to consider, right? Or is there something that I'm missing here, or no? Okay. Thank you. Oui, allez-y.
Madame Guitard.
Ben, s'il vous plaît, adressez à moi.
Monsieur, je m'excuse. Monsieur le maire,
Ouais.
une question pour Madame Guitard. Les salles inclusives, combien qui ont pieds carrés?
Je pense qu'on a démontré ça sur le plan, mais si on peut remettre, s'il vous plaît, le plan, là. Je pense que c'était 54, j'ai envie de dire, non? Linear feet. Ah, OK.
$71 feet, 71 square feet.
71 pieds carrés.
71 pieds carrés.
71 pieds carrés.
Oui.
OK. So if you remove, Mr. Mayor, if you remove the 71 square footage, how big the room will be?
Mais il va être la même, ça va être la grosseur qu'on vous a montrée sans cette chambre-là.
So we can have more benches.
393.
So we can have more benches.
Je comprends pas si on l'enlève,
Si
cette
on enlève
section-là
la
n'est
salle
pas là.
inclusive, là, si on enlève la salle inclusive,
Ce que vous me dites, c'est que si on enlève la salle, c'est-à-dire on la rajoute à la salle, puis on ouvre ça tout ouvert pour tout le monde, c'est ça?
parce que habituellement, mes findings ont trouvé que 12 ou 14 chambres, tu as besoin de 2 chambres inclusives. OK?
OK, mais on prend ça en note,
Si on enlève ce square footage-là, notre chambre va être plus grande.
Mais la chambre est déjà assez grande d'après ce qu'on nous dit.
Mais si on se fie au UE9 qui arrive avec un paquet de choses...
Non,
le monde
non, je
est
comprends.
parent. Fait que-
Je veux juste confirmer, moi, ce que je comprends, puis corrigez-moi si j'ai mal compris, c'est qu'on a assez de place pour une équipe régulière. Si on a deux équipes sur une glace, pour les petits jeunes, on comprend qu'il va falloir regarder ça de plus près. Mais à ce niveau-là, ce que vous me dites, ce que vous essayez de me dire, je veux juste confirmer, c'est que si on enlève ces salles inclusives, puis on fait la salle encore plus grande, qu'il y aurait plus de place dans les salles, mais on serait quand même à 12 salles, ou bien vous me dites, je pourrais avoir mes 16 salles de cette façon-là parce que j'enlève cette place-là. C'est ça que vous me dites?
Ben, tout est possible, mais il faudrait garder 2 inclusives.
OK. On va prendre ça, puis on va ramener ça aux architectes, voir qu'est-ce qui est possible, qu'est-ce qui n'est pas possible. C'est beau.
Merci beaucoup, M. le maire.
Oui, ça me fait plaisir. Please. So just a couple of more minutes because we have a hefty agenda as well to keep going as well.
Sorry, just a quick note. We just keep going back. You keep saying U7, U9 practices. These kids are also playing games. So when they do play a game, you're 4 teams per hour that need to be dressing.
Yeah, so I think there's four rooms per ice surface.
Yeah, but for 1 hour, you have 4 teams, right? Because it's 2 teams on half the ice and
No,
2
I
teams
understand.
on the
I
other
understand
half,
for
so
the. Oh, so I understand.
just
Sorry, I
saying
wasn't clear.
that when, you know,
Yeah, the half ice
we
games
keep
and the
going
half
back
ice
to
practice.
rooms that are same size, but I welcome you to come to Embrun. We're not gaining much room here when you come compared to an Embrun room, right? So I'm just keep saying that these rooms are full and there's no room. There's safety issues with people walking.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, thank you. So thank you. Okay. Any other comments? Just to tie this up. Any other comments from members of council? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, well,
Okay, so a couple more comments. Let me just check with council. Any comments from members of council? Councilor Deacon? Okay, well, okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Mathieu Brisson, Sainte-Marie, Embrun. The Benson Arena is something that comes back a lot in discussions as sort of the gold standard of a modern arena. And they had a significant grant from provincial and federal. And I think it accounted for about half of their total budget. Okay, more than half. So my question is, have we explored grants, sponsorships? Because the main driver of this discussion is financial. So if we can offset that financial, can we boost the seating back up?
Thank you for your question. So just for everyone's benefit, we're always looking. As a matter of fact, the Ford government just did a reshuffle, and I've already sent letters to the new ministers letting them know about our project. So we've been on this. It gets easier asking once we have designs and once we have comme le survol qu'on a fait. So we are using that. We're aggressively going after. And so that is definitely being looked at for sure. There is a $200 million that got announced not too long ago. We're fishing there. We're trying to get some sort of money for sure. Yeah. Councillor Lauren?
The big thing about this project was we wanted to be able to move forward with the knowledge that we weren't in, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't contingent on federal or provincial funding. That we set a plan in place to build it ourselves, and any money that came in was gravy on top to allow us to then pay down the debt earlier than what it was. So for us, it was we keep putting it in the plan with, I'm just gonna throw a number, a $10 million request out there. Well, that $10 million, if it doesn't come in this year, okay, then we postpone to next year. Now we need that 10 million still. Well, we don't get it again. Well, we keep postponing. The costs keep going up. Like, the costs go up every single month that this project would be delayed. So to continue to delay and delay to get that money, well, let's say we did get some money and it was $2 million. Well, you might have spent $2 million waiting for it. So now you're no further ahead than where you were. We're always looking for funding. It's just, we don't want to make the project contingent on it, because then we're never going to get the project. And we've seen how long this has taken us to get to this point. Let's get the kids playing on the rinks. There's going to be 3 rinks. There's going to be a swimming pool. There's going to be a community center. Let's get moving on it. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any final questions? Councillor Deakin?
Thank you. I'm very grateful for all the comments that have come in tonight in this discussion, as well as the administration's preparation with those visuals. It's very helpful. As Monsieur Brisson said, the financial aspect is a key driver of this conversation, and I don't think that we've fully explored all of those aspects. So as we move into the next conversations regarding this recreational complex, there's 2 things that I'd like to know from administration. One is, what information are we going to have regarding the financial aspects of the project as we move into the tender phase, not just the actual tenders coming back, but also the operational planning and things like that. How are we going to have a full picture in the next couple of weeks? And the other piece, building on Councillor Lorrain, is what would some of those financial implications be if we were to pause or delay moving forward with the project at this point, as was the request, I understand, in the petition. I know Councillor Lorrain kind of alluded to construction costs rising with inflation, but I'd like to understand the full picture of the risk that we would be facing if we were to choose to pause or delay.
Monsieur Godin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the question, Councillor Deakin. For the first piece, yes, you will be receiving a full picture of the updated financial plan with the tender results. So when we do open the tenders tomorrow, we'll be plugging those numbers in our models and updating that for council. So we'll be showing council next week, on Monday of next week, the capital costs, what it means on our financial plan on the capital side, and we'll also be showing the operational side, just to demonstrate to council that we're trying to follow the plan up to 2028, and following that, if everything goes well, depending on the tender amount, obviously, but the plan is to not have to have further tax increases beyond that, and to be self-sustainable as far as paying that debt down, being able to cover the operational costs, and taking care of our asset management as well. For your second question about the impacts of delaying the project, and it's been touched upon by Councillor Lawrence, the inflation piece is a big portion of it, especially for a project of this magnitude. When we're talking about between $80 and $100 million, I mean, it's with the 3% inflation, we're talking about hundreds of thousands for every month that we delay. There are still possibilities when we do award a contract to make minor changes. We can always negotiate with the GC as far as seeing if we move that wall or add this here. Those are things that can be done in discussions with our consultants and the GC that's going to be hired. So I guess my point there is, I guess that meeting in 2 weeks when we're proposing to award a contract to us on the administration side at least, and I think it would be critical to achieve that step, to award that contract. And if there are some changes that council wants to entertain, we can definitely consult with them to see what's possible, and we'd be able to bring back to council what those implications would be if we did want to move forward with any changes.
Merci Godin. Okay, so I've got about 4 minutes left on this subject, so any last questions?
Hi, my name is Chantal and I live in Embrun. I'm Promenade. My question is, as a taxpayer, who's going to fund this if they have to move a wall and they have to do this? Like, you want us to self-fund this, but who's covering the costs? And now you're asking a taxpayer to cover the costs, but you're not listening to us in regards to the building and what might be the like the expertise, the amount of years of experience, if you add all this up, you talk about, in a rink. I've been in a rink. Why don't we look at maybe renting the AA and the AAA? I couldn't play out here. I couldn't play, but my son, I had to travel 10, 12 months out of the year for hockey. But it's the taxpayers, for me, that I don't know. You're saying the more it delays, but why can't we just do it right once instead of coming back to the taxpayers to pay? Because I don't have any numbers right now.
Thank you for your question. So we are listening. We're here listening. So we are here listening. This is going to be a council decision. Every member of council had an option and an ability to go through this process as Monsieur Godin kind of explained to us. Once we get the tenders, we'll be able to see what we can work within. I think at this stage, there's a fair bit of information that we've received, and we're going to take that, work with that, and see what as a council, we decide. Council here is elected by the people to make those kind of decisions. We take that role very seriously. And I understand your position. I spent a lot of time in rinks as well with my daughter in hockey, traveling to Canada because that's the only place she could play. And so I totally respect that. And we want to support. We want to be everything to everyone, but we have to work within certain constraints. So this is kind of the process that's allowing us to do that. And we are listening, and we're going to see what we can do with it. Councillor Lauren?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point of, you're absolutely right. AA, AAA players do not play in Russell and Embrun.
And you know why?
And because there's no ice.
That's right.
And that's why, to me, the most important thing was to ensuring a third ice pad in this facility, and that has been accomplished. So that's why I want to make sure that those players don't have to go to another area to practice or play, or go to Finch, or go to Chesterville, or go to other areas. I think I said that earlier. We want to bring them home. This facility will do that.
Okay.
We have the ice.
Thank you. Okay, one last question. Mr. Abrams.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Joey Abrams, live in Russell on Broadway. In the infancy of this project, there was contingency plans for growth. I think we were talking about potential 4 rinks at one point in time, or the ability to put in 4 rinks. You've listed to some very real problems that people have here tonight with this facility, and it doesn't look like we're going to be changing from what's currently adapted. What contingencies do we have in place for growth moving forward if these problems do become real problems? Is there anything in place to be able to fix these issues that we're talking about right now? Because they're issues that I've brought up for the last 4 or 5 years to everyone in this room.
Sure, Mr. Abrams, are you referring to the number of ice surfaces, or?
Well, it's multiple. It's the dressing rooms, and I've been in those U9, I've been in those U7 rooms. You're talking about 30 kids plus parents. It's not enough room. Now, I will say, in defense of the current arena, there's probably not an arena in Ottawa that can, comfortably equipped to hold that many people. It's still not comfortable here. Russell's much bigger than the Embrun rooms. It's not comfortable in Russell. So, and the same amount of seating, it's not comfortable. But what I was thinking of while I was sitting over there was the warm-up room. Never even heard of a warm-up room before. And to me, it's a wasted space when we do have a junior hockey team here that is a pride for a lot of people, and they don't have any space in this arena. To me, it's ridiculous, to be blunt. And I think there should be a little bit more thought into what's next for the community, and not necessarily what a 55 arena designer who's never played hockey before thought would be the best idea for us and our community.
Thank you for your comments. In terms of ice surfaces, just to clarify, the typical in a study from 2021 that Calgary did that I read, I think it's typically 1 surface per 20,000 in a big city. I know it's different in a smaller municipality. So we are going to go way above and beyond the standard there, and I think that's a fact. In terms of the change rooms moving forward, it's something that we will kind of discuss as a council. We'll have to kind of see where we're going with that. The architects that came here are coming with experience and having designed 55 plus rinks. Although they may have not played hockey, I'm sure that they've talked to hockey players, and I'm sure that I have to believe that where they design facilities, they wouldn't have gotten to 55 if they weren't very good at it. And so again, this is something that as a council and council members have to kind of decide and see where we go through. I'd like to thank the presenters for taking the time. I appreciate the passion that you bring to this room with this, and thank you to the residents for being involved. I encourage you to stay involved in the process. Next week, we are going to look at those tenders. We are going to bring back some of this feedback to our architects, see where we can go with that, and see how we can accommodate that space within the existing space that we have to try to stay on point where we're going. We certainly respect the passion that's brought to this room, and I thank you all for coming today and representing hockey and your families. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. C'est bien apprécié. Yeah, so I'm going to ask for a 5-minute recess just to give everyone a chance. Thank you very much, everyone. You're welcome to stay, by the way. We have a really exciting meeting. No? Okay, we'll resume at 22, if that's okay? Or, yeah, 22. Order, we'll get back started, please. Tranquille, s'il vous plaît. I'm just going to turn this on. OK. Alors, merci tout le monde. So we are moving to item 10, numéro 10. Consent items. All items listed under the consent items will be enacted by one motion. A majority vote is required for the adoption of the consent items. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a request is made prior to the time council votes on the motion that a consent item is to be separated from the motion. The separated item shall be considered immediately thereafter. So motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. 10A, demande pour le programme de subvention communautaire du département des parcs et loisirs, budget 2024. Procès verbal du comité des citoyens de Marionville du 30 janvier 2024. Procès verbal des comtés unis de Prescott-Russell le 25 février 2024. Procès verbal de la conservation de la Nation du Sud 18 avril 2024. Puis procès verbal du comité consultatif sur l'environnement et la durabilité du 10 avril 2024. So I need a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Deacon. All in favor? Item is passed. Merci. Numéro 11. Rapport des départements et comités du Conseil. Prolongation pour le début de la construction Maison Interlude, House Inc., rapport EcoDev 2024, situé au 1203 et 1211 chemin Saint-Augustin, que le Conseil reçoive le rapport EcoDev 2024-04 daté du 10 juin 2024 et que le Conseil émette une directive pour l'administration de préparer une lettre autorisant la prolongation de 18 mois pour commencer la construction d'ici le 15 mars 2026. Le canton de Russell n'exercera pas son droit de rachat pour le 0,72 acres, le terrain à 100% du prix d'achat, à moins que la construction de l'immeuble n'ait pas commencé d'ici le 15 mars 2026. Alors, M. Godin, comments? Oui.
Bonsoir, chers membres du Conseil. Le 26 avril 2024, nous avons reçu une demande de la Maison Interlude pour une prolongation de la date de début des travaux de construction, initialement fixée le 15 septembre 2024. Leur projet a subi de nombreuses révisions au cours des derniers mois et malgré leurs meilleurs efforts, il est difficile de prévoir quand ils pourront lancer la construction. Le projet consiste en un immeuble résidentiel de 3 étages comprenant 35 unités, dont 13 seront abordables et destinés à la clientèle de la Maison Interlude. Le 4 juin 2024, la Maison Interlude a présenté son projet à notre équipe du Review Team, où nous avons donné nos commentaires préliminaires sur le plan conceptuel du site. L'administration soutient la demande de prolongation de 18 mois pour le début des travaux.
Merci beaucoup. Questions, comments? Councillor Lauren?
I just have one question from Mr. Godin, Mr. Desjardins. The recommendation states that the repurchase is at 100% if we were to repurchase it of the purchase price. Isn't it normally 95%? And is that, I just want to make sure we're accurate at 100% that we would be repurchasing it at versus than usually 95%.
Monsieur Dagenet?
That's a good question. I'll have to verify from what I thought it was 100%.
If my memory serves me correct, I thought it was 100% as well. And I know you're correct, we normally don't for industrial and so on, but I think in this particular case we had. But ça va être à confirmer.
Okay.
It is 100%.
Okay, merci.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving to 11B. Bylaw to exempt certain lands from part lot control PD-2024, refer to number 16 bylaws. Properties known as 389-395 Weisher Place in Embrun. Questions and comments from members of council? Seeing, hearing none. 11C, bylaw assuming public highway parts 1 and 2 on plan 11583 Embrun, report PD 2024-21. The council receives PD 2024-21 dated June 3rd, 2024, and adopt a bylaw dedicating parts 1 and 2 on plan 50R11583 as part of public highway being District Street in Embrun, and that the bylaw be registered on title, pardon me. Questions, comments, members of council, anything to add? Monsieur Godin, your team? No, c'est beau. Seeing, hearing none, moving along. 11D, permis de festival pour l'occasion spéciale boissons alcoolisées, rapport EcoDev 2024-03, que le Conseil reçoive le rapport EcoDev 2024-03 daté du 10 juin 2024 et approuve un permis d'alcool classifié événement public pour les activités lors de l'événement Meet Me on Main Street Embrun le 1er août 2024. Questions, commentaires, membres du Conseil? Anything to add, M. Godin, from your team? Non, c'est beau, merci. Alors, on s'en va à 11E, recommandation 2024-02 du Comité consultatif sur l'environnement et la durabilité, section environnementale sur le site Web de la municipalité. Que le Conseil reçoive la recommandation 2024-02 datée du 29 mai 2024 du Comité consultatif sur l'environnement et la durabilité concernant la création d'une section environnementale sur le site Web du canton. I'm just going to add a little context to that. So, in the committee, it was brought. It was a recommendation from the committee that some of the municipalities that they look at have specific environmental, like a tab right on the main site, and so any resident or anyone interested could, just by clicking on the tab, see all the environmental actions that that municipality is doing, all the work that's being done from an environmental perspective. And it was thought to be a good idea. It certainly lines up well with our strategic plan. So that was the recommendation that came from the committee. So questions, comments, members of the council? Yeah, Councillor Deakin?
I appreciate that clarification because when I read it, I first read it as an information repository, which nowadays in web design, that's not a best practice in terms of competing with Google and search. So, but I was leaning that way, that it would be wonderful to have something, a storytelling space for what commitments the township has made and actions that have been undertaken. So I support that.
Thank you. Councillor Lauren?
Yeah, I have no issues with the recommendation. In fact, there's 3 recommendations in 3 different reports from the Environmental Committee. They all say receiving. And I just wanted to know where we're, are we going to ask that staff bring back a report to reflect these 3 so that we can actually provide our approval on the recommendations? Or is there just a direction that needs to be given? I just want to make sure we know where we're going on it because I'm in favor of all 3 of them, so I'm fine.
Thank you. Monsieur Godin?
Merci, Monsieur Maire. I would recommend, if council is ready to make a decision tonight, just to simply give the direction, just to save that administrative work of preparing a report. But if ever one of those recommendations you would like to have more perspective from the administration, or if some of my colleagues see these and think it would be a good idea to look into it deeper, we can step in and say so. But for this, a simple direction would suffice.
Any other questions or comments? So just from our perspective, so the only challenge in kind of directing or moving in a certain direction without kind of having a report back from staff is that, is it feasible? And web design we were just discussing, or there's another comment here, or the other ones, just to make sure that what we're kind of moving in what direction that it's actually feasible to do. So are we asking to provide direction for them to implement, for staff to implement, or to review? I need clarity. Councillor Lawrence?
I think it makes sense to request to come back to council with a resolution and a report. Maybe in the same report have all 3. That way it's not 3 separate reports, just have the environmental committee recommendations and let us know what the feasibility is of all 3. I think one of them, you're going to get to will be a budgetary item and whatnot, right? So that's how I think it.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I'll read the next ones then. Okay, so that was F recommendation 2024-03 of the Environmental and Sustainability Advisory Committee, evaluation of light pollution, that council receive recommendation 2024-03 dated May 29, 2024, from the Environmental and Sustainability Advisory Committee with respect to the evaluation of light pollution. And this was related, for additional context, to light pollution specifically around the ballparks and any of the fields, sport fields at night. So that's the next one. Questions, comments, or we'll just bundle all of these afterwards. Recommendation 2024-04 of the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee, illegal dumping. Que le Conseil reçoive la recommandation 2024-02 datée du 29 mai 2024 du Comité consultatif sur l'environnement et la durabilité concernant le dépôt illégal d'ordures. And just to provide additional context on that is they were asking for heavier fines for illegal dumping in our municipality. I did connect with Madame Bourdeau on this, and I know that there is a provincial piece to that. So we could, if we want to bundle all three of this, asking for staff to come back with direction, I think that would be the way to do it. So we have to take all three of these out to bundle them together. No?
Because we're just receiving them tonight.
We're just receiving it, so we're just giving direction, verbal direction. Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, any additional comments on this, on these items? No? All right. Okay, so that concludes 11. Okay, number 12, rapport d'un investigateur ou de l'Ombudsman. We have none. Number 13, avis de motion, there are none. Number 14, période de questions sur la réunion du jour. Alors, les questions doivent porter sur le point d'ordre du jour. Avant de poser une question, veuillez inscrire votre nom et votre adresse sur la feuille d'inscription. Si vous souhaitez recevoir l'information du conseil ou du personnel, laissez votre numéro de téléphone et un courriel. Annoncez uniquement votre nom et posez vos questions. Clause de non-responsabilité. En postant des questions lors de la réunion du conseil, vous consentez à faire partie de la diffusion en direct de l'enregistrement officiel public des délibérations. Alors, Monsieur Armstrong.
I'll fill this out well if
Of
somebody
course,
else is there.
pas de problème.
One question, 11G, it's about the fines. If a report comes back, could it give us a bit of a detailed explanation of how suitable fines are actually fixed, either by council or by whomever or however it's done, please?
Monsieur Godin, through you, how does the process work, if you want to just clarify that for us, Madame Bordeaux?
Presently, said fines are approved by the Attorney General's office. So we propose set fines that are equivalent in the same range as what is existing. If we propose set fines that would be much higher, they would refuse them. So they're approved by the Attorney General's office. That being said, we are looking at changing how we proceed with fines, with a monetary penalty system. It's a new system that we will propose to council shortly, where it gives us the authority, council, the authority to approve fines. So, but presently, I would not suggest that we propose something to the Attorney General's office in that,
Merci.
excessive amount.
So just to add a little context on that particular one, the issue around the transfer station not being open on weekends is where some residents are feeling that there's more of this illegal dumping that's happening on the weekends and so on. So, and I think Madame Guittard could probably attest that our arenas are overloaded with people's garbage on the weekends, which is a challenge as well. So, Mr. Armstrong?
That's fine, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your question.
Good evening. I apologize, I don't remember the number of the agenda item, but it relates to the
So, I'm
evaluation.
sorry, can you just state your name?
Rhonda
Thank you.
Bradley, 159E Road.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bradley.
And I don't remember the name, I think it's 11F, but it's in relation to the evaluation of light pollution.
Yes,
I hope I have that correct, the agenda.
that's correct, 11F.
So I'm really excited, happy to see that the township is going to be evaluating light pollution. I'd really like to see it expanded to include not just ballparks, but the entirety of the township, even though if that's not expressly stated. My question is related to the resolution from the committee to explore and consult neighboring city bylaws. And my experience is that any place east of Ottawa, including Ottawa, doesn't actually have much in the way of light pollution. So my question is, would council consider looking at best practice bylaws across the province and not just in neighboring cities?
Thank you, Ms. Bradley. Through you, Monsieur Godin? Or Monsieur Bourgon? Through you, right? Through you.
Merci, Monsieur Maire. I was going to add that that concern was raised under our exercise of the OP, so the official plan. So it's something that would be looked at in that exercise as well.
Monsieur Bourgon, can I just ask clarifications? If you come back to us, we would normally always look at best practices. We never really limit. We try to limit the size of population and so on, so we're comparing apples with apples, but I don't think it's based on a geographic location per se. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, merci. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you very much for your questions, much appreciated. Okay, we move to item 15, so resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda and under item 11, reports from departments, councils, and committees. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Lalonde. All in favor? Thank you. That's passed. All right, bylaws. 16 bylaws. Bylaws attachments. Motion that council approve bylaw 2024-048 to 2024-049 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. 2024-048 being a bylaw to exempt certain lands from part lot control properties known as 389, 395 Voyageur, Place d'Embrun, PD 2024. That was mentioned 11B. That's it? Okay, that's it. I need a mover. Thank you, Councillor Lauren, seconded by Councillor Deacon. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Okay, we're moving to new business reports. We have none. Other business presented by council members. Anything here for council members to add on? 19, public hearing consultations. We have none. Number 20, announcements. Councillor Lalonde.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about June being National Dairy Month, having spent 33 years of my life working for the Canadian dairy industry and having a particular affinity for dairy farmers in our region, many of which I played hockey with for years. And I don't want to get into trouble for mentioning some names and not others, but I'm going to mention some of the names of people in my area in particular whose farms I've visited or who I know well. I think of the Versteegs, I think of the Patnode family, the Gillette farm, the Bowles family, and of course the Bass family, who are some of its members are here with us tonight, the Nine Taps. You know, Dairy Month, some of the hardest working farmers we have, and I think we're blessed to have all this dairy industry in and around us, and I just wanted to give a shout out to those families and to say that I was proud for all of those decades to be working alongside of them. Thank you.
Merci, Conseiller Lalonde. Here. Thank you. Any other announcements? Councillor Deacon.
I came from a dairy family as well, and my mom would milk cows with me in the bassinet beside. So thank you very much, Councillor Lalonde, for mentioning that. I also wanted to acknowledge that June is Pride Month, and on Saturday we were able to undertake the Pride flag raising ceremony here at Town Hall. And I just wanted to make special acknowledgement of staff members on Madame Bourdeau and Monsieur Dagenet's team who came out and supported throughout the day. It was a fantastic day. We had around 60 people attend. There was so much joy and appreciation by everybody who was in the crowd for those of us who came. And I would encourage anyone to attend next year if you've never been to a Pride event. It is for everyone, and to get a true sense of what it's all about and how much it means to so many of us in the community. I'm also establishing a reputation for making a lot of announcements, so I was requested to make additional announcements. We have 2 very exciting surveys currently open that the township is running. One of them is from the fire services, the fire survey, and the other is a voting contest on some beautiful images that are going to be installed at the bowling alley. Both of those surveys, as I understand, close on June 16th, so I would encourage everyone to get involved. I personally did not vote on the photos because I couldn't decide. It was too difficult of a decision. 2 other pieces that I wanted to mention. Of course, there's a lot of planning and a lot of public engagement underway. There is an open house on affordable housing, 6 p.m. Tuesday, June 18th, and as well a Transportation Master Plan Public Information Center the very next day, Wednesday, June 19th, again at 6 p.m.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Councillor Deakin. All right. Moving forward, 21 strategic discussion, we have none. 22 closed session pursuant to section 239, 2, 3, and 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25. Motion to move into close meeting at the hour of 8:04. To address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, to consider matters relating to 1, negotiation of a contract with an organization, report CS 2024-09, 2, K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried by on behalf of the municipality or local board. 2, identifiable individual verbal report. 2B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal local board employee. And 2F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communication necessary for that purpose. Closed session minutes, and finally, closed session minutes of the regular council meeting dated May 27th. And so I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Lawrence, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All in favor? We are now in closed session. Thank you. All right.